3, 2, 1. -1, -2, -4, -5, -6, -7, -8. Oh, there we go. And the sound seems to be working. Good morning, friends. What can we learn from looking back 7 days in life? Apparently a lot. Thanks for dropping by. My name is Toby. I am 41 years old and I train to live an active, self-sufficient and adventurous life. And I appreciate the support. I don't know who's watching, but thanks for dropping by and for giving me the 100 and the support here this morning. That's very kind of you. I do that by minding my sleep. I try to sleep between 7 to 9 hours in a night. I do that by minding what I eat. I try to eat within my energy balance. I try to eat lots of greens, healthy foods, and I try to eat sufficient proteins to match my strength and muscle building goals, which for me I think comes down to around 60 to 80 grams on any normal day and maybe 80 to 100 grams on a weight training day. I do that by spending time with people I love and care about, doing the things that I enjoy, and generally trying to live a stress-free life. So that's where we're at with that. Why do I do that? I do that because I have understood that I might live to be 100. Not saying I will be a centenarian, but given the advances in healthcare and in society and just a general trend of population is that we're getting older and older, but we're not necessarily staying healthy for all those extra years we're getting. And right now, the current diseases that lead the billboard of death, so to speak, are seemingly to an extent preventable or deferrable through different lifestyle choices we make in our 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and even in our 80s, obviously. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to figure out what lifestyle factors I can influence right now for myself to make sure that I will at least make the most of the lifespan that I have by also increasing the number of healthy years that I have ahead of me. That's one goal. The other goal is I'm the father of 2 boys, and I obviously want to give them a good example of what a healthy adult does, lives like, looks like, works like, and also be an active part of their life right now as they are young and active and have a lot of energy to spend. So there you have the goals and the reasons behind all of the things that I'm doing related to health and fitness. All of that kind of translates into one big goal and a number of smaller goals while we wait for my coffee to brew here. And that big goal is to just show up in the morning for 30 minutes and do some exercise. That is to train my cardiorespiratory health, my muscular health, my skeletal health, just to stay physically fit and active. And off that cornerstone habit, I think I've built a lot of other small routines of activity throughout the day, but also related to what I eat, my diet, what we do and don't drink, and also in terms of regulating sleep and time we spend with other people, people we love and care about, to make the most of life. So that by way of an introduction. If that's interesting to you, you go ahead, check out my channel, hit like, subscribe. And again, I'm really appreciating the support I'm getting. Be welcome to say hi in chat and let me know you're watching. And if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them. But hit like, subscribe, check out some of my videos. I think we've come a long way with 1,200 subscribers. I would love to hit 2,000 subscribers by the end of this year, if that is at all going to be possible. And I'd also like to hit that 3,000 hour of watch time limit. So if you are interested, what I have to say, I just published a new long form video about how I lost 22 kilos and have kept it off for the last 8 years. Feel free to check that out as well. And to actually watch at least 1 or 2 minutes of that video, but maybe even the full 20 minutes if it is really interesting, if my journey can be of any help or interest to you. All right. Normally, during this podcast, I will talk Monday about sleep, Tuesday about food, Wednesday about training, Thursday about making friends, Friday about mastery, Saturday about motivation, and Sunday we do some reflection. But so today is a reflection day, and I would start off this podcast by talking about today's training, then talking about that topic, and then we talk about one small change we can make in our lives to drive forward the habit changes that we want for a longer, healthier life. However, maybe I should touch on why I wasn't here Friday morning and Saturday morning. So let's start with that, and then I'm going to have my coffee, and we're going to talk about this week and the wheel of living. So Thursday night I go to bed, 8 o'clock, and it's all good. I am ready for sleep. But then around 1 o'clock, not even, actually 12 o'clock, one of the kids gets restless. I wake up. There's an attempt to put them back to sleep. That happens, so fine. And I lie back down on bed, and guess what? I cannot fall asleep. I lie awake for 1 hour, literally, in my sleep mask, staring into the darkness, but nothing happens. So I decide to get up, have a glass of milk, soy milk, go back to bed. Still can't fall asleep. Read a little bit, feel I'm still awake. Sit down and start watching a TV show, because literally I feel like I am not going to be able to fall asleep. I end up watching the last 3 episodes of the season. I'm still wide awake by the end of it. I'm still going to try to go back to bed, but I only get back to bed at 5. I thought about just pressing on and doing the workout and everything, but then I said, well, I'm now so tired. I have a big work meeting later. I better get some sleep so that I'm fresh and at least able to focus at that meeting, rather than appearing at work at a zombie for an important meeting. So I postponed the trainings to Saturday morning and thought, all right, let me get some sleep. And I slept for another 2.5 hours after that. At least the work day went well. But then Friday evening, we had theater tickets I'd gotten for my birthday. So me and my wife went to the theater, and we had a few drinks with dinner, and then after the show, I got home. It was midnight. I hadn't slept all the night before, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to prioritize my sleep. So that meant that Saturday morning I wanted to wake up after 7 hours of sleep, which put me at least 7 or 8 a.m. And then the whole morning routine starts with the kids. So Saturday morning was a lost morning as well. So in 1 week I lost 2 days of training. Oh well, am I too worried about that? No. Did it nag at me a little bit? Yes. See, because I like my morning routine. I know the value I derive from it. Oh, that's tasty. I know the value I derive from it, the benefit I derive from it, the fact that I have such a good morning routine, helps me sleep really well, helps me be energetic throughout the day, makes me feel like I am at least physically, mentally, emotionally in a place where I am happy and content with the flow of my day and the flow of my week. So yeah, I did miss it. It wasn't easy to step out of that routine, but the first night you don't sleep, what are you going to do? For all the talk about prioritizing sleep, I don't believe in no pain, no gain, right? So if sleep is that important and sleep is the number one priority and it's interrupted, I think that it's important to understand when to prioritize it and when not to prioritize it. So when to say, well, 6 hours of sleep is going to be fine. 3 hours and 45 minutes of sleep, not going to be very okay. Okay, but once in a while, you can have an interrupted night of sleep. Now I had 2 interrupted nights of sleep. So what did I do? I went to bed really early last night, and according to my watch, I've slept, when I woke up at 4:30, I slept 7 hours and 34 minutes of actual sleep. And I was resting for about 7 hours and 15 minutes from the time I actually shut my eyes before I actually fell asleep. So there you go. So, 2 days of more or less interrupted sleep, back on track, and here we are again for the live stream and for everything we want to do and talk about together. But what a week it's been, right? It's been the 3rd week of the podcast, which is why this is episode 20, right? Not 22, 21. Sorry about that. Would have been nice to have kept that Monday through Sunday flow, but I guess when we do things live, this is how that might happen. I might go back and re-record the talk about friendship and the talk about motivation, but we'll have to find time and get around to that at some point, right? Let's look back at the week, because I think that's an important one. After this talk, by the way, I'm going to go out for a 1.5 hour walk, so it's going to be a slightly longer walk, and just my luck, it started raining this week, so the wonderful, nice, warm weather is gone. It is now rainy and grey, so I'll have to make the most of the day. But that's going to be all right. But let's talk about this week. So Monday through Friday, I just walk you through Thursday night to Friday night to Saturday night. But let's look at the whole week. And let's zoom in specifically on health this week, okay? And also let's talk a little bit about connection, because I think Friday was about connection in different ways. Well, did I train Monday? Yes. Did I train Tuesday? Yes. Did I train Wednesday? Yes. Did I train Thursday? Yes. Did I go for a walk on Friday? Yes, I walked for more than an hour on Friday throughout the day, during the day. So there was, in the middle of an active day, there was also an hour of activity. It wasn't that I lost everything. I just didn't do my morning kettlebell session for 30 minutes. But the rest of the day was a normal day. Was I active on Saturday? Yes, I even managed to squeeze a 30-45 minute walk in there somewhere throughout the day that I didn't get around to doing in the morning. So in terms of movement and being active, it was a good day. In terms of sleep, it's been a good week. I actually hit the 8 hours once or twice this week as well, but then Friday came and I lost some sleep. Thursday to Friday I lost some sleep. Saturday was okay, but because I'd had a few drinks, I know that I didn't sleep as well as I could have. And now Sunday seemed to be back on track. Okay. What about food? I have actually managed to do a more or less plant-based week. There was fish twice on the menu. And I think Friday I cooked steak for the family. My grandma and grandpa were here to help take care of the children. And there was a little piece of beef that I had. And they all had it. A bit more of that. I had tempeh instead. So overall, I've changed a bit of my dietary pattern to reduce the amount of meats and fish that I was eating before, and introduced more and more plant-based alternatives, fresh alternatives, not prefabricated stuff, into my diet, and it seems to be sticking, and I seem to be doing all right with that, because one of the questions I had around my food and nutrition is, will I feel okay eating less animal products? And the answer seems to be yes. I don't tend to cut them out entirely, but this just seems to have been a week where I succeeded at doing that and feel fine, actually. And I'm curious what that might do to my health markers, specifically my cholesterol over time. So I think somewhere towards the end of the year, maybe beginning of next year, I'm going to have my VO2 max tested again, my blood work done. In order to do that, I need to be able to run regularly and do kettlebell swings again, so it's going to take a while because we're waiting for my back to get better. But they do blood work, and I'm curious to see if there's going to be a difference in my cholesterol versus the one that I did last year, so 2 years later, with all of the training and changes, and also with the aging, what's happening inside of my body. Something that I would like to understand better. So in terms of health, right? Physical health, I think we're doing all right. Emotional, mental health, I think we're still experiencing the full range of emotion any given day, any given week. But generally, I have a positive outlook on life and where life is going. There's maybe a bit of a stress factor right now in my personal life that I need to come to terms with, but it's not pressing, it's not urgent, but it is important to just give that the attention it deserves. And in terms of my mental well-being, I think actually, if I look at the big categories of my life, so my family, my own goals, work, right? I think there are a lot of good things happening at the moment, and I think I can be grateful for that. And I think it's good to keep a positive outlook on, because of the fact that things seem to be going well for everyone and everything that I truly, really care about. So that's all good. Let's talk about connecting, because let's see, in terms of people, Friday, right, people I care about, we had my parents over, so they were going to take care of the kids, and while we had our night out, and me and my wife had a night out in town, and we went to the theater together. We traveled there together, we talked, we laughed, we enjoyed the show together, we talked about the show on the way home, and all in all, we had a good night of talking, connecting, drinking, being out, being away. We even, on the way back home from the theater, we took a train later so that we could enjoy a drink in we wanted to go to a cocktail bar at the top of a hotel, but we're not used to going out anymore. Didn't make any reservations, and it was full, so we had to wait either half an hour, but we didn't have time for that, so we went to the hotel bar downstairs and sat and had a drink, and then we both agreed that it was so noisy and busy upstairs. I'm 41 years old. What do you expect? You start to want different things from life. But we had some time to sit and chat and talk, and I think that is a good way to spend a Friday night. That came a little bit at the expense of my morning workout routine, right, my sleep routine. But one night of bad sleep in a week isn't going to hurt anyone. This doesn't happen every week. This might happen maybe once a month, further down the line, so that's completely fine. And the extra bonus was my parents got to spend time, grandparents and grandchildren, very important. It takes a village to raise a child. So that extra time that they got to spend together, including the bedtime and the dinner and the breakfast the next morning and everything, is just invaluable, right? So not only was it good for me, my wife, but it was also good for my family. Happier grandparents, happier children, everybody wins in a situation like that. And everybody got to spend time with people they love and care about in different moments, in different ways, and it was all good. And of course, sent my parents home with some nice food and some fresh fruits from the market here, which they then could enjoy on Sunday when they got home. And, they really appreciate and enjoyed that as well. So it's nice, to have that connection, being able to take care of each other in that way. Good, happy, functioning well. So looking back at the week, what can I learn from that? I can learn that nothing bad is going to happen to me if I skip 1 or 2 days of training once in a while. We don't have to be there 365 days a year. And I think that is the insight that is definitely necessary, especially when you show up for a daily live stream and are trying to get fit and healthy and are very focused on certain results like I have been in the past, right? But I think if you show up for 330 days out of the year, you're going to be just fine as well. And sometimes you have a bit of say of when you do and don't get to show up. Sometimes, like Thursday to Friday, life just happens, it gets in the way, and you need to make different choices because there is more to life than showing up and working out, right? And I think that's something we need to do a good job at remembering and working with. So I think that's an important lesson. A very wise man once told me, everything that has two in front of it is not good. Too much, too little, too extreme, too greasy, too filtered. Too much pressure is not good. Rather, take off the pressure, accept that over the course of 365 days, the intention is to show up all the days. The pattern is that I'm showing up all the days. But there might be a day once in a while where I don't show up. And if that's 2 days or 3 days a month, we're going to hit those 330 days anyway. And I think 330 days of continuous investment in health and fitness are going to pay off regardless. That one day won't make a difference. If the pattern becomes 10 days in a week, 10 days in a row that I don't show up for training, that's a different conversation to have with myself. So that's one. 2, it's important to keep investing in the connection with other people and the contribution to communities, right? This week I actually set up with some people in the area we live in. We're going to go for drinks and a chat. That's like a little social moment between some of the households and the people, because we all live in the same community in the same area, and it's nice to catch up with each other like once every 6 months, chat and talk in a relaxed atmosphere. You recognize the faces on the street. Everyone kind of knows who's who, knows what's going on, and it helps getting things done and organizing things in the area. It's important. That's also part of connection. But looking back, right, setting that up is always a little bit of a hurdle. But once it's set up and you're there, it's always fun to do it. But it takes you out of your little bubble, right? But I think we need to get out of our own little bubbles a bit more and engage with those communities and people that make up that network of life and living that we're a part of. There have been a lot of small changes over the last 3 weeks that we've made. We're going to wrap up because I need to go out for a walk. there have been a lot of small changes that we've made over the last 3 weeks. I'm curious to hear which ones have stuck. Has the glass of water before a meal stuck, or the walking up the stairs? Have you been able to identify that one vegetable that you're going to add to meals once a week? How has the active listening paid off? What has happened? Have you been able to lean into a conversation and ask questions and make the other person feel like you've been really listening and trying to understand them? Let me know in chat or in comments under the video. I'd be curious to hear from you what's been sticking and what works and what doesn't work for you. And we're going to pick that up again tomorrow when we talk about sleep, and we're going to continue the conversation about health, fitness and longevity in this podcast again tomorrow. Friends, remember, we're good just the way we are. We've got to love ourselves before we can move on. It's the person we are today. It's going to get us to where we want to be tomorrow. So a bit of kindness is going to go a long way. All right. There are enough people who want to put us down, so we're going to lift ourselves up. And the only way to get anything done is by showing up and doing the work. So I'll see you tomorrow, friend. And remember, friend, subscribe. And thanks for dropping by.